Hi,
Hi,
Miss Madeline. How
hi,
are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, did you know that there is a holiday that is almost here?
I know. Tell me about it.
This Wednesday is March 17th, and March 17th is St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. Wow. What do you remember about St. Patrick's Day?
Well, I remember wearing a lot of green because that was kind of the thing is on St. Patrick's Day you were supposed to wear green, and I've got my St. Patrick's Day shirt with my little with a kitty on it that's got green on it, and also it is wearing a shamrock. And I remember
Very
seeing a lot of shamrocks on St. Patrick's Day.
well. I'm wearing sort of a St. Patrick's Day shirt. It's got a lot of green because Ireland is known for being green, but my shirt's actually Monet. It's probably France. And kind of a cool story. St. Patrick's Day is known for blue too, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit.
Blue, but I thought St. Patrick was all about green.
We're gonna find out. Okay.
So tell me more about St. Patrick's Day. What do we do on St. Patrick's Day?
Well, when I was a little girl, they don't do that anymore. If you didn't wear green, somebody would pinch you. So you were very careful to wear green, or your teacher would give you like a green shamrock to put on your shirt so you didn't get pinched. So it wasn't.
Like a green sticker you could wear.
No, we had paper. We had to pin it on.
Ah, okay.
Okay, I
Did you
make.
ever have a St. Patrick's Day party at school
We
with
did.
like St. Patrick cookies or cupcakes or
Hmm.
something?
It was nice. It was fun because we didn't have a lot of parties. So when we had one, it was a big deal. But I made some slides and I thought we could look at them and talk about them. So I'm going
Yeah,
to share
learn
my
some
screen.
more about St. Patrick's Day and the mysterious person that this holiday seems to be named after.
Exactly. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Like
Happy
said,
St. Patrick's Day!
you said it was about green. Well, here, look at this. It's crazy. Here's a hat like's on your shirt, and they're wearing them. And these people are dressed up crazily because there are parades for St. Patrick's Day to celebrate being Irish, wearing the green and being Irish and the luck of the Irish. And just everybody is just all about being green and Irish. And I actually sent my son a shirt that had love, and the O is a shamrock. So I'm excited he'll get it, before St. Patrick's Day and can wear it. But just
It
people
looks
like
like
that.
they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a fun holiday. Here's some facts and stuff about that I found. And this is on an Irish flag, the green, the white, and the orange. And it's like, here's just a few facts about it. It is was started to celebrate a religious feast in honor of Saint Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. And the first uh, parade took place in Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States, way back before the the United States was a country. And
When
now they're
when was that parade?
in 1737. It's crazy.
Wow,
Long, long, long time ago.
that's a long time before the Declaration of Independence. The
50
United
years.
States wasn't even a country yet. They were just the 13 British colonies.
Actually, they just were barely the 13 British colonies because Georgia, the last of the colonies, was founded in the 1730s. They were just barely
Wow.
13 colonies. So
They
today
were already celebrating St. Patrick's Day well before they eventually would celebrate the 4th of July.
oh, I hadn't even thought about that. That's a really cool fact, Miss Madeline. That's cool. Well, this is just a lot of stuff, so I'd rather get on to more fun things. But just like it's been here a long time, and it's just kind of cool that it started in the United States. This big
That
celebration
is cool.
of
I
Saint.
never would have thought that it didn't really start in Ireland,
Yeah,
where everything with St. Patrick's Day we think kind of comes from. So that's really cool.
lots of information. Another thing that's considered Irish that isn't Irish is the Limerick. There's a poem that people associate with Ireland, and they think that it probably got the name Limerick because one of the limericks was about a county in Ireland named Limerick. Maybe someone liked the sound of it because it's a funny little poem. It's usually just goofy and silly. And so it has a rhyme scheme, and now it's thought to be part of Ireland when it really wasn't, kind of like the parade. So here's a cute little one I found. It said, "There once was a shamrock named Sean, whose leaves first unfurled in the dawn. He was easily seen with his bright leaves of green, right up until the day he was gone." Mm, they're just really silly little poems usually, and it's just kind of funny that they are viewed as being Irish when they're not. So, what
That
is St.
is.
Patrick's Day and all of that? How do these things all fit together? Maybe you know something more than I do, Miss Madeline. Can you explain all of these?
Yeah. So all of those things are things that we think of St. Patrick's Day today, things like wearing green and all other kinds of things. But St. Patrick's Day, as you started to say in some of your facts, it started out as a feast day in the Christian church in which people were remembering and celebrating the person that the holiday is named after, which is Saint Patrick. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Saint Patrick was a real person. He lived quite a long time ago. And believe it or not, St. Patrick was not Irish.
That seems right, doesn't it? What was Irish, Miss Madeline? Was
Well,
a
what
leprechaun
was
Irish?
what was Irish, and the reason why we associate St. Patrick with the country of Ireland is because Ireland was the place where St. Patrick did his missionary work.
Okay.
That I
Okay.
checked this book out from my library that talks all about St. Patrick and who he was. So, St. Patrick was a man who lived back in the 400s.
Wow.
So, a long, long time ago. And he was actually born in Britain, and he had quite an amazing life early on, and I'll be telling his whole story in another video. But long story short, after a lot of struggles, he eventually felt God was calling him to go to the country of Ireland and to tell the people there all about Jesus. And
Wow.
so, after doing a lot of studying and eventually becoming ordained as a priest and then becoming a bishop, which is why he has the bishop's mitre, the bishop's hat, and the
Okay.
bishop's cane, he then went to the country of Ireland, and he spent the rest of his life traveling around the country and teaching people all about God and about Jesus. Because before St. Patrick, the people in Ireland, they were pagans, which means they didn't believe in God. They didn't know about God at all. They believed in a lot of other things, in false gods and things that weren't really real. But after St. Patrick came, many people in Ireland started to realize who the one true God is, and many of them began to believe in that, in our God and in Jesus. And so they became Christians.
Wow.
And so many people loved St. Patrick for all of the good work that he was doing that eventually he became known as the patron saint of Ireland.
Oh wow. Like the head saint, the only saint. They have other saints, but he's like the head honcho.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Ireland does have other saints. One of their favorite saints, not quite like more favorite than Patrick, but there's another saint, and her name was Bridget.
Hmm.
And Bridget was a person who she lived in Ireland. She was a young girl when St. Patrick came to Ireland and started teaching people about Jesus. And she, as a little girl, listened to St. Patrick and she believed him about what he said. And so became a believer of Jesus, and she decided to dedicate her life to Jesus. And in a similar way to St. Patrick, St. Bridget also went around Ireland teaching people about God, and she became very famous for how much she would help people who were in need, as well as healing people who were sick with all kinds of different things. So
That's go I'm sorry.
so St. Patrick and St. Bridget are some of Ireland's favorite saints who are very fondly remembered to this day.
That's awesome. Well, I noticed in this picture this has shamrocks here and shamrocks here, and I noticed in the other picture there were shamrocks, and so I
And
wanted.
and there's that big old shamrock right here on my shirt too.
Ooh, that's right. So what about these shamrocks? So the shamrock is the name means summer plant, and they were important to the Irish when they were still worshiping the false gods. They were called the Druids, and they actually worshipped what they thought was the life of a woman, the mother, the maiden, and the crone. And the shape of the shamrock reminded them like of the circle. Instead of a circle, they had a shamrock. And then St. Patrick, he explained God to them using the shamrock. So I'm looking forward to seeing your video that you read about St. Patrick's and tell us more about him because I find the saints to be fascinating people.
Yeah. Well, I can actually tell you a little bit about St. Patrick right now.
Ooh, please do.
So it says here one of the earliest known biographies of St. Patrick was written by a person named Meacher or Murcher in the 7th century.
Hmm.
By then, memories of Patrick were vague and confused, but he is generally believed to have been born in Roman Britain around the year 385. So by the time this biography of St. Patrick was written, a few hundred years had passed. That's quite a long time.
Right. Well, and back then they kept stories alive by telling them. They were oral or told. And so over time, people tell stories and tell them and tell them. And so the details kind of get fuzzy.
Yeah, and because it took so long for things about St. Patrick to finally be written down, that meant that many different legends about St. Patrick came up. And a legend is different from a regular story because a legend, we don't really know if it's true or not. We don't know if all the things in the legend actually happened as the legend says it did.
Oh,
So we kind of just sort of have to take a guess.
okay.
If you believe it really happened, then that's okay. And if you don't believe it really happened, that's okay too. That's kind of the legend. So there are a lot of legends about St. Patrick. But there are two legends in particular that are really well known. And these two legends are so well known that they are very heavily associated with St. Patrick's Day. So, one of these legends is, of course, about the shamrock. The shamrock, again, being that little plant that has the three leaves on it, unless, of course, you get really lucky and find a four-leaf clover. So it says here one legend tells how St. Patrick used a shamrock to explain the Holy Trinity. Because remember, when Patrick came to Ireland, the people there didn't know about God. So they didn't know about how God exists as, remember, as three in one in three: the
Mhm.
Father, Jesus the Son, and God's Holy Spirit. So they didn't know about it, they didn't understand it. So, what St. Patrick did is that when a group of people that he was preaching to, meaning he was telling them about God, when they found it difficult to understand how three persons could be in one God, St. Patrick picked a shamrock that was growing at his feet and he showed it to the people. And St. Patrick asked, "Is it any more unusual that these three persons should be united in one God than it is for three leaves of the shamrock to grow on one stem?" And it's
Okay.
true. If you've ever seen a shamrock, it has one long stem, which is what it's growing out of the ground on, and then it ends in three leaves.
That's really cool.
So he was saying that one God is like the stem of the shamrock, and then the three persons that make up God are like the three leaves of the shamrock. And many people wear a shamrock on St. Patrick's Day in remembrance of this legend about St. Patrick. But there's also one other legend about St. Patrick that's gone around. And Miss Tracy, you had a picture of a snake earlier. Am I correct?
Right here.
Ah, there it is. So you might be wondering, well, what on the world does a snake have to do with St. Patrick? So, the other well known legend tells how St. Patrick rid Ireland of snakes by driving them into the Irish Sea.
Wow.
One stubborn snake, though, refused to go. St. Patrick invited this snake into a box that he had made, but the snake would not enter it. The snake said, "It's too small." St. Patrick said, "I don't think so." The snake said, "Yes, it is." And St. Patrick and the snake argued about the box for some time until
Hmm.
at last the snake said, "I'll prove it's too small." With that, he climbed into the box. Then St. Patrick slammed down the lid and threw the box into the sea. Now, of course, snakes have never been on the island of Ireland because it's an island, and most snakes can't swim, and the snakes that do swim don't live in the area around Ireland because it's too cold. Remember, snakes are cold blooded, and so they really only live in places where it's warm enough for them. And Ireland is really far north, and so it's too cold for snakes.
That
So it's
really is that's a crazy story. So you just have to wonder, that since it was told like 300 years after his life, for some reason somebody just looped in this idea of a snake.
Yeah, it's possible maybe someone wondered, why are there no snakes in Ireland? And instead of thinking it about, well, it's because it's too cold and it's an island, they said, well, like maybe St. Patrick got rid of all the snakes when he was teaching people about God. But who knows?
You know what, Miss Madeline, that makes me think of? Maybe like I see a connection there because when we think about the snake, we think about the Garden of Eden and the serpent. And Ireland is known to be incredibly beautiful and green, and maybe it was kind of considered a paradise, you know? I'm
Could have
thinking maybe
been.
that serpent thing came back to the Bible story somehow.
Could have been. And it's quite likely that the story of the Garden of Eden would have been one of the stories of God that Patrick would have told to the Irish people to help them better understand who God is and what God did. So that is possible. And that does happen sometimes over many, many years. Some people will take stories that are true and mix them with stories that
Right.
aren't true and then keep telling that mixed story so many times that no one really knows well what is true and what's not, and that's when it becomes a legend.
Well, the most important thing is there was a St. Patrick's. He did beautiful things for the people of Ireland. He worshiped God, he honored God, and he did a huge work. So, what we know about him that's true is fabulous.
That's right. And you might be wondering, well, if Saint Patrick was someone who lived after the Bible, that's why his story is not in the Bible. But you might be wondering, well, how do we know for sure that Saint Patrick was a real person and not just someone that someone made up? And the answer is we know Saint Patrick was real because he actually wrote down his life story.
Oh, okay. An autobiography.
Something like that. So the only authentic, which means the only proven to be real, proven to be true, sources of knowledge about St. Patrick's life are two letters that he wrote.
Hmm.
One of these letters is called Confession, and he wrote it in his old age when his long career was almost over. The other is called Letter to the Soldiers of Coroticus. In this biography, um, called Confession. That's where we have a lot of those really important details about St. Patrick's life. So, but it's possible if he hadn't written down all those things that happened to him and what he did, it's hard to say if we would have the story of St. Patrick or if we just have a whole lot of things that we about St. Patrick that we wonder if they're really true or not. So
Wow.
that's how we know that yes, he was a real person and he did indeed do wonderful things for God and for the people of God.
For Ireland and now for us.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, I
Well, I'm
think
so glad we got to talk about this and learn a little bit more. And I'm looking forward to you reading your book about St. Patrick.
yeah, and I think a really cool way to remember the real St. Patrick is just excuse me is just when you have your St. Patrick's Day celebration of just remembering how all of these different things all point to the real person of St. Patrick and that what he was all about was spreading the word of God to the Irish people and basically showing people who didn't know God, showing them God's love and teaching them all about Jesus. And of course, that's something that we can do today. We can be just like St. Patrick was and St. Bridget who came after him.
Well, I think that's something really cool to think about.
I agree.
Well, I hope you have a happy St. Patrick's Day.
I hope you have a happy St. Patrick's Day as well. And to all of you watching us, you can have a happy St. Patrick's Day. And if you do choose to celebrate St. Patrick's Day this year, I hope you will take some time to remember the real St. Patrick and all the cool things that he did.
I love it. What a great story. So, see you soon.
All right, bye guys. See you later.
Goodbye.